Hello everyone, Columbo here. Video number 2 for the Sunday. Before we start the video, you're innocent until proven guilty. Video as always is done live, so you would have to bear with me regards my thought process. Now, as you all know, those of you who take an interest in the case of Madeleine McCann, you have Christian Bruckner, a German suspect, now being made arguido, which is obviously a suspect. The German authorities, Mr. Wouters in particular, say they are 100% certain that Christian Bruckner was involved with regards to the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Now, here you have a statement from Kate and Jerry McCann, dated the 22nd of April, 2022, folks. Now, in this statement, they say the following: "We welcome the news that the Portuguese authorities have declared a German man an arguido in relation to the disappearance of our beloved daughter Madeleine. This reflects the progress in the investigation being conducted by the Portuguese, German and British authorities. We are kept informed of the developments by the Metropolitan Police. It's important to note that the arguido has not been charged with any specific crime related to Madeleine's disappearance. Even though the possibility may be slim, we have not given up hope that Madeleine is still alive, and we will be reunited with her." So that's the statement from Kate and Jerry McCann, folks. They welcome the fact that Christian Bruckner, because that's his name, because everyone knows his name, but the McCanns won't use his name on their site, has been made an arguido. And like I said, Mr. Wouters, the German prosecutor, states that he is 100% certain that Christian Bruckner was involved in the disappearance of Kate and Jerry McCann's daughter, Madeleine. Now, I've always asked the question then, is how does it fit in with the McCanns, folks? How does this fit in with the McCanns saying that the abductor, their abductor, folks, the abductor, not the possible abductor, or it could be the abductor, or maybe the abductor, but the abductor was the person that their friend Jane Tanner seen. Who are the closest people to Madeleine? That's their parents. That's her parents, folks. Kate and Jerry McCann. And that's what they say in videos. They say in videos that Madeleine's abductor, folks, take that in, not possible abductor, was the person seen by Jane Tanner. Now, I've always asked the question, well, how does that fit in with Christian Bruckner then? And the German authorities are saying they are 100% it's Christian Bruckner who took their daughter. If that's the case, and the McCanns are saying that the abductor was the person seen by their friend Jane Tanner, then they must be the same person. So who do you ask? Jane Tanner. Why do you ask Jane Tanner, folks? Because she says the following in her statement. Jane Tanner's 4th of May statement, folks. When asked by the PJ, Jane says she would be able to recognise and identify the individual she saw, being able to identify him from the side and from his manner of walking. So Jane Tanner tells the PJ that she would be able to recognise the person she's seen. The person the McCanns said was Madeline's abductor, folks. They are not my words. They are the words of Kate and Jerry McCann. In interviews, they have stated that Madeline's abductor, not possible abductor, or maybe an abductor, or could be an abductor, the abductor, folks, almost got caught by their friend Jane Tanner. Jane Tanner, the person who said she would be able to recognise the person she's seen. How does this fit in with Christian Bruckner and Mr. Wouters, the German prosecutor, saying that he is 100% sure it's Christian Bruckner? If this was the case and the McCanns are saying Jane's sighting was the abductor, then it should be the same person. You have a conflict of interests with regards to Mr. Wouters and what the McCanns are telling you, folks. Now, if you don't believe me saying that the McCanns said that Jane's sighting was the abductor, then bear with. This is from a video, a news program or a media program called Skavlan. I think it's Swedish TV. The interviewer talking to Kate McCann here asks her the question about what do you think happened with regards to the disappearance of her daughter. Bearing in mind that the German police are telling you, folks, that Christian Bruckner, 100% certain, Mr. Wouters says, that Christian Bruckner is the person responsible for the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. But this is different from what Kate McCann is telling the interviewer here, folks.
Almost 5 years later, what do you believe happened to Madeleine?
Well, I mean, my view hasn't changed, since the 4th of May, really. And that is that a man took Madeleine, and that man was the person who our friend Jane Tanner saw carrying a child away from the...
So there you go. I only do videos based on facts, folks. They are not my words. They are the words of Kate McCann, the person closest to Madeleine, and that's her mother. The interviewer asks Kate, what do you think happened with regards to the disappearance of your daughter? She tells the interviewer that her views haven't changed, and that is that a man took Madeleine out of the apartment, and that man, and the most important word she uses, folks, is was. That man was, not possibly, not maybe, not could be, or not we think it may be, but was the person that their friend Jane Tanner seen carrying a child away from the apartment, folks. So Kate McCann is telling you here that that person seen by Jane, as I've told you before, was the abductor. Which means if Mr. Wouters is saying Christian Bruckner is 100% certain that Christian Bruckner was the person responsible for the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, then put the 2 and 2 together and you should have the same person, folks. Because you have the McCanns saying that person was the abductor, not possibly was the abductor, and you have the German police saying Christian Bruckner was the abductor. You see the conflict of interest between the two? But the German police, they mustn't watch these videos of the interviews with the McCanns, folks. Don't you find it strange that Kate McCann is telling an interviewer back in 2012 or whenever the video was made that her daughter was taken by the person seen by Jane Tanner? But in 2022, the German authorities are saying it's Christian Bruckner, the abductor. You have the German authorities saying Christian Bruckner is the abductor. You have the McCanns saying the person seen by Jane was the abductor. And it's on their official website, folks, isn't it? That person seen by Jane Tanner is still up on the website. That person seen by Jane Tanner, according to the Metropolitan Police, was not Christian Bruckner. That person seen by Jane Tanner, according to the British police, was Julian Tottenham. But according to Kate McCann, he was the abductor. So who's telling the truth, folks? The German police saying Christian Bruckner was responsible for her disappearance? Or the person or the people closest to Madeleine, that's Kate and Jerry McCann, mother and father, telling you that the abductor was the person seen by their friend Jane Tanner? It's from her own mouth, folks. I am only relating it to you. They're not my words, are they? I'm not speaking for Kate McCann. She told that interviewer that her views haven't changed, and that a man, so she's correct about a man, if it was a man, that is, took Madeleine out of her bed, and that man was not a possibility of it could be, or maybe it was, but was the abductor of her daughter, and that person was seen by Jane Tanner. And Jane Tanner, in her statement, as I've shown you, told the PJ that she would be able to recognise the man she's seen. So if she could recognise the man she's seen, then the first person you ask, because the McCanns are telling you it was the abductor, would be Jane Tanner. Was Christian Bruckner the man you seen carrying the child away from the apartment? So why haven't the German authorities asked her? And why are the British police saying something different, that that man was Julian Tottenham? And how does that fit in with Christian Bruckner? And how does that fit in with the McCanns telling you that that man seen by Jane was the abductor, folks? You see? It's all a big cover-up. Because if it wasn't, and Kate McCann is telling you that the person seen by Jane was the abductor, and the German police are telling you they are 100% certain Christian Bruckner took her and he was the abductor, then it should be the same person. And then you have the McCanns stating on their website that they welcome the fact that Christian Bruckner has been made an arguido. They must know full well what they said back in 2012. If they are telling you that the person seen by Jane Tanner was the abductor, then I assume Kate and Jerry McCann must think that Christian Bruckner was the abductor seen by Jane. But it wasn't, was it, folks? According to the Metropolitan Police, it was Julian Tottenham. Who's telling the truth? My guess is none of them are. Makes you think.